All right, I'm Joshua Lisec. I'm the co-founder here at WordOut, and I am joined by Chevas. Chevas, tell us a little about yourself, about your business. What's going on, man?
Yeah, thanks, Joshua. So I do run a boutique agency. It's called Artifact, and that's at agentartifact.com. And I help technical SaaS bridge the gap between their developers and the decision makers that they're trying to sell to. And so I deal in a lot of technical solutions in order to help them get more sales.
Gotcha. And right before we started the recording, we were just chatting about some of the typical struggles and challenges that agencies have that you have seen, that you have encountered. So talk to me a little bit about the situation there with your agency that made WordOut attractive to you as a real solution rather than oh, this is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. So one of the main issues with a smaller agency like mine, especially when we're growing and we are growing, is having enough time. And you're making decisions on a regular basis on where to delegate and what to do. And you start to look at what are the most time consuming tasks that you have that you need to delegate. And one of those, frankly, is writing, is producing a significant amount of content on a regular basis. And when I saw the pitch for WordOut, I was like, wait a minute, this is turning the whole AI, the big fuss about AI, right? It's turning it in reverse. And that is what really caught my attention, is being able to leverage AI, not necessarily to produce content, because even in my own experience, it was insufficient in order to achieve the personality and the tone that I could do in my own writing, or that I could get from an accomplished copywriter. And so what it was doing was it was actually taking a route. This was the pitch, right? That you had showed us, was we're taking the route, your ability to write, your ability to produce content, but then actually expand on it. And that's what attracted to me initially.
Mm, mm. Why was it important for your clients to have content like on a regular basis? Why, like, so often agencies are hired because clients they want to do marketing, like they want results, and they measure like, well, by getting clients. So how does WordOut help you get your clients what they are paying you for, frankly?
Yeah. So you know, having content, there's a number of different avenues that content fulfills in order to produce the end result of sales. And one of them is being able to associate value with a brand. And so if a specific brand is putting out a stream of content that's valuable, it's not just fluff, it's not just, pure SEO content, and I'll talk about SEO in a second, then that is high value, that brings in yields over time. Now, that can take some time sometimes, but the faster you can produce content at a regular stream, the faster that it goes. It is also valuable for SEO, in terms of, because I think that producing content is probably the number one lever to increase SEO. And so if you're constantly putting out valuable content that's keyword driven, then you're going to be able to generate traffic. And so you have a brand association, you have traffic, and that can be, on the avenue of the website, it could be avenue on social media, obviously. And so, WordOut is connected to social media, but it's not just a social media tool.
Right. Yeah, a few moments ago, you mentioned lever, and it sounds to me like when you're talking about time, WordOut for you is leverage for your clients that allows you to have more firepower than your boutique agency size might appear. Is that right?
It is. I can give you a specific. So I have one client in particular I'm thinking of, and I have a content writer for that client, and she's really great in that umbrella. But she doesn't have the bandwidth, like she doesn't have the bandwidth personally to expand that into social media, I can take her tone and what she produces and start generating additional content based on what she's written over time and hand that off to my assistant to then start publishing it on platforms. And it doesn't require an additional writer. I mean, it doesn't require an additional writer to be able to do that because it can stay unique. It's not just taking snippets necessarily.
So WordOut is replacing a writer without replacing a writer, effectively.
Yeah, it's expanding an existing writer to be able to go further than that writer would have been able to otherwise.
Awesome, awesome. And so that allows you to get more results for your clients for what they're paying for. Like what other things you're able to do for your clients with WordOut?
Well, this might sound really simple, but one of the things that I really like is having a library of content that's been used. A lot of tools tend to focus on, okay, it's on the schedule, it's gone out, and it kind of just goes in the ether, and there's an expectation that you're tracking and managing all that. WordOut actually does it for you. So I can then have a bank of content that's, I have a visual bank and see this is everything that we've used, or this is everything that we have. We've used these things. And so it helps me keep tabs on the bank that exists per client. People, it's a small thing, but it's invaluable when it's right there, especially when you're about to hit publish.
What does that have? What is having that library of content that's there that you both uploaded and then you've transformed existing content, repurposed content using AI into social media content? What does that allow you to do that makes it worthwhile? Because you're right, there's other apps that don't necessarily do that, have a library of stuff. But what about it do you like? What does it do for you?
I like to have a clear pulse on where the current like where we are with content, not just what has gone out, but what is in the pipeline. And WordOut actually shows you both. And so having that pulse allows me to actually identify content that's working and then be able to see it and retrieve it quickly, as well as create similar content that has been working and then produce that and then push that out for the client as well, so that so I can more quickly identify working content that's producing engagement.
Good. You as an agency, you are not just a marketer for your clients. You are also a strategist and a bit of a futurist as well, because you're having to kind of go out there and figure out what are the best tools, what are the trends, what's happening in the marketplace that you need to then go back and bring to your clients, and that would impact how you work with them. And one thing I noticed with agencies, having been in them, having worked with them, is they kind of test out different tools. And so the typical marketing agency, they've tried everything, and they've kind of keyed in on those things that streamline their workflow the most, make it most convenient, give them the greatest leverage for their clients. So even though they may be a small team, they have the ability to outcompete larger agencies for these well-paying clients. So to you, how does WordOut stack up against other things that you've tried and that you are trying?
Well, I did cancel one subscription, so there's that. Now, WordOut is still fairly beta, and there's a lot of excitement in terms of where it's going and like what it's going to do very soon, and seeing some of those things happen in real time is pretty great. But in terms of how it stacks up, it's something different, and it's on the trend. I mean, it just gives me more time. It just that's what it is. It gives me more time I've been sitting on tools for months, Joshua. Like, okay, I got to do all this content, and it just like it's a weight. It literally is a weight. And knowing that I can just crank out content with, you know, a seed, a number of pieces of content, and then go from there is a huge relief. I know that it can be done. It can be done fast, and at least much faster. So in terms of like, it's not just a management tool; it's a production tool, and that's how it stacks up. A lot of them are management tools, and a lot of them are saying they do AI, but what they produce is just Chat GPT rehash, and that's not what this is. People need to know that that's not what this is. It's not just Chat GPT rehash, and that's I think one of the best things about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things that we're hearing from other people that are using it, is like, Joshua, you wrote the prompts. Like, yeah, I definitely did. It's not just like right now, anybody can go on a Chat GPT and say, write me a tweet for my marketing agency client in the construction industry. And you tell me, Chevas, is the output of Chat GPT, is that going to be publishable for your client?
I mean, I have a client in the construction industry, even though I told myself I'm never taking a general contractor again. That's a side story for another time. But it turns out it's actually going pretty well. And yeah, go for it. Go right ahead. Do it. See all the traction you'll get doing that, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's not interesting. It has no personality.
And so what you're noticing what WordOut is doing is it's taking existing content in the voice of the brand of each of your clients, and it is repurposing it into short form and in long form social media posts. And what you're noticing is that given the way that we've written the prompts on the back end, it allows for the social media content that you can schedule out to retain the voice, the verbatim, frankly, even the jargon that people in the industry would know, rather than kind of generalizing it and giving it sort of a sarcastic corporate voice like some people report Chat GPT does. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's funny. I have a handful of silos in WordOut, and the tone that it comes out in the content that's generated is striking in its uniqueness with, between very different clients. Yes, not to say, just put the words in my mouth, but I'm telling you, that's how it reads. And it's notable.
From a client retention perspective, that's something that marketing agencies are typically concerned about, right? Because we have this much monthly recurring revenue. Well, if they can't show that what they're doing is making ROI, return on marketing spend, then that monthly or annual recurring revenue is not really recurring revenue. It's a sort of a eat what you kill, restart every single month. How does, in your experience, WordOut affect that dynamic of the continual, ever-present need to prove results to clients? How does that help?
I can speculate on a trajectory. Historically, my retention is long, and we do quite a bit of different things and provide expertise, just having expertise in a number of different random little nooks and crannies of marketing. So it's too early to tell, at least because WordOut hasn't been out that long. Now, what I can see is, I have this one client and I meet with him every week, and it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing this week. This is what you should do. Look at that. And then, get off the phone at the end of the week. And I'm like, okay, another week down. And there's that stress of, I need to provide constant value to keep, and you want to, but it also is hard. And so there's an ongoing stress of providing constant value in, regular. WordOut, what I can see is that if I have a tool that is assisting, and I think that's really an understatement. That's what I got in my head right now, assisting with the production of content in tone, in brand, for my clients, then I can see that being able to provide value over a longer period of time is going to be easier. It's going to relieve some of that stress that I feel, especially when it's actually easier. Oh, is that a bad verb? It's easier to delegate when you know that the tool is going to be helpful, and there's in a sense a guardrail for the person you delegate to. Like, the tone is developed. You spend some time developing the tone, putting in content, and then there's guardrails though for when you delegate it. That's value that's not easy to see until you start using it.
But you see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I definitely see it.
Interesting. So the people on your team that you're able to basically train and then bring into WordOut, the tools effectively make them not be bad writers effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely it helps. It more than helps. I'm sure there are certain people that there's nothing you can do to help them. So it's good to have a somewhat of a writer that's accomplished, but it helps a lot.
Gotcha. Now, there's something that you mentioned about like the long-term value add to clients. And I was thinking about a conversation I had a few days ago with a marketing agency. One of the things that they do is, and besides, advertising and email marketing, is social media marketing. And there's a perception that this agency was telling me, the co-owners, clients who just kind of want to check that box of, making sure there's a couple of posts going out, some sliders on Instagram, and, having something at least once or twice a week on LinkedIn. And it's just like, something they got to do. So it's not like their social media online presence is a ghost town. And there was a sort of low value perception. And some people might say, well, you can't really charge a whole lot for just social media marketing as part of it. How do you think about that dynamic in the context of repurposing content, production, the distribution, what WordOut enables you to do? What are your thoughts on that? Oh, it's just check a box, low value. Just make sure there's nothing out there. There's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's the website check a box too. I got my web presence. That's a common thing as well. It's similar. I tend to not do social media alone. And, I tend to package it, probably, it's been a natural progression to get there, probably because of exactly what you just described. That there's a perception that content, it's just there to be put out there. Check the box, get it out. We're not dead on social media. So I tend to package it. Now, I wonder if after a while, and I just started with this one client, and I wonder if after a while, I can produce so much high quality content that I could turn it into its own offer if I wanted to. And again, that's what it's looking like.
How have you been able to incorporate it into existing offers, though?
Well, I mean, I just, I'm going to do marketing, and I'm going to cover this channel, and this channel, and one of those is social media, and that's how I've historically done it.
Okay, so it's not, well, what it is there are things that you have, like there's delivery you have to do for clients, and then people will talk about how notoriously difficult to scale an agency is, to take on more clients and then get them better results. with less of your own time, it's very difficult to do that. But it sounds like WordOut is on the social media and content production and scheduling does allow you to do that.
I have to repeat myself. It is saving me time. It is enabling me to delegate with more confidence. So I have more confidence in being able to delegate. I'm saving time in producing content. Yes, I have to seed it. I have to load it with things, but there's things I've already written, but even for a new client, I have to load it. So there is a lead time in there, but it is saving me time and is giving me more confidence delegating. So yeah, I mean, I have to repeat myself to answer that question.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the new client that you have. WordOut itself is a relatively new enterprise, and we have been able to iterate and produce very quickly relative to doing a typical company. And in our position, new companies will tend to want to promise all these amazing features, and if you just hang on with us long enough, we'll do this, and the kind of the timeline keeps getting longer. People sign up like, okay, when's that thing gonna come along that you all were promising? And it just kind of gets delayed. But the fact that you went from being like an individual user, kind of playing with it yourself, and now you've got your clients in there. Can you talk to me about what your experience with the app itself has been, and the speed, and frankly the quality in your experience as a user, all that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started with it real early. And I have a UI UX background, a significant one. But you set a clear expectation. You and Michael did. You set a clear expectation of, where this was. And the general, like the bones of the flow just made sense. I'm like, okay, this is a good flow. And then with how quickly things iterated, I mean, we're talking how 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and even, how things quickly iterated to clean things up, to improve some of the flow where it would hiccup a little bit in terms of like, wait, what's going on here and what happened? I'd send a little bit of feedback and it would be fixed. And so that process has been promising because that has happened 3 or 4 times. And so it gives me a lot of confidence in where you're taking the product and what you're doing with it. Putting aside some of the issues with, the ChatGPT API, especially GPT-4, it's been snappy. It's been really snappy, actually. In fact, it's improved quite a bit. I can't really put my finger on it, but sometime between the last week to 2 weeks, somewhere in there, something happened, I think, and certain things just feel instant, just instant, and that is like nobody wants to fuss with a slow tool. So that, from a UX perspective, it's been a great progression. It was still, the very, very beginning was still rough, but it's been a great progression. I'm really happy with it.
I'm glad to hear that. What would you say to other professional marketers, other agencies who are concerned about getting caught in the AI wave? They want to be sure they're out, writing it as opposed to being buried by the AI wave and all the proliferation of tools. And people are using this, and people are using that, and you're using WordOut, and it's a powerful time lever. So you can, it sounds like, do the things that it takes to scale an agency using the right type of software. What would you say to other marketing agencies about your experience in WordOut?
I said at the beginning that WordOut inverted the common approach to how most people think about AI, and how, like, I can use it to produce content. Yes, you can, but how good is that content? And what it has done for me is allow, at least the voice I use over here or the voice I use over here, it allows me to maintain continuity with those voices and not the AI voice, not the Bard voice or the Chat GPT voice, but it allows me to maintain that continuity and then produce content from a different starting point. And I think that starting point is crucial. If you want to produce content in voice with personality, you have to start at the right starting point. And WordOut lets you do that. That's what it does.
So what that means then is the output, the content that is being generated within the WordOut on behalf of your clients, it doesn't look AI generated. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have some tools in there to, accept and reject, and it gets better. It gets better and better over time. So, but yes, yeah, there is some teaching. I mean, but this is the thing. You want this. If there isn't a magic done for you where they can just read your mind or, and do something for you. You need, if you're going to stand out, if you want to stand out, you need to have personality. You need to have a voice. And this tool lets you do that and lets you maintain it. And you can't get that right now.
Mm. And with the other AI tools, I think there is inherent risk, because there was somebody who's been commenting on some of my just random LinkedIn posts, and it's obvious that it's a Chat GPT generated reply.
Somebody's comments?
Yes, comments.
Okay.
And so there are social media tools that will automate and will auto reply for whoever is using
LinkedIn.
it.
Oh, LinkedIn.
And it looks like AI.
Yeah.
And immediately I write this person off as not serious, as inauthentic. Like, well, what else about this person and their business is illegitimate based on this, right?
Yeah.
And it's a fine line between using AI to go from good to great, to have quantity of quality, versus just to focus on quantity and being everywhere. And if you're being everywhere and it looks like you use Chat GPT, what does that do for your brand cred, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, let me say this. Like, when AI started coming out pretty heavy just months ago, several months ago, and even on like the visual side, like I was on ArtStation just for a little hobby project I have. And like right away, there's options for no AI, no AI, no AI. Like this, like there is some pushback because people don't want the robotic content. They don't want the soulless content that doesn't have any kind of, genuineness to it. And so I believe that the trajectory for AI, I believe, is going to be walking a tightrope where people respect, there's great respect for it. People respect its ability to produce content. Even if I'm like writing a JavaScript function, blah, 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 thank you, but they respect its ability, but they disrespect its personality and its tone and its authenticity. And so if you can build tools that walk that tightrope, then I think you're going to hit a gold mine. And I think WordOut is on that tightrope. And I think a lot of tools are fluff.
Gotcha. We think so too. We appreciate that. and that's validation of our initial hypothesis behind WordOut, which is we want good agencies to use this to become great, not via a linear growth, but rather exponential growth, getting more from less with time leverage tools. So I'm pretty stoked that you're doing that.
I'm going to say one more thing. I just closed a client today, big boy. So I'm, when you take big risks, it always kind of causes little butterflies. You're like, holy smokes. Well, here we go. That's part of life. But one of the reasons I took the client is because I actually believed that I can deliver because I have WordOut.
Excellent. So as part of your relationship, you will be able to use WordOut as a delivery mechanism for delivering the services that you're being paid to render, right?
That's right. Yep.
Hmm.
I was
Let me ask
confident
you
to
this real
take it.
quick. If you hadn't had WordOut, what would you had to figure out how to do instead?
I would have to hire somebody. I mean, I was kind of freaking out a little bit, but I was going to do it anyway because that's what I do. But I was probably going to have to hire somebody. And I mean, from day to day, just talking to my assistant, it was just like, okay, we could, okay, we could do this, and it was just back and forth. And what about this person? And, and there was a lot of that. And that's, some of that isn't necessarily related to WordOut. Some of that's just being a boutique small agency that is growing, but WordOut put me in a position. I'm like, you could produce all this content. We're going to get the content writer to write all the seed content, which they're going to do at interval. But then you can produce all of the expanded content. And they're like, I'm down. So it really just made it so much easier. A lot less stress.
Well, congratulations. That's so cool. I think that's a good way to cap it off right now.
All right.
Well, Chevas, thank you so much for joining me. We are stoked to have you as a representative agency for WordOut, getting the word out for your clients.
Absolutely. I mean,
it's so cool to see, and we want to help you grow your agency, but from a scale perspective, so that as you take on more clients, you're able to not multiply your labor, but rather by using WordOut, put in fewer hours to get greater returns from that. And we believe that's what AI is for. It's not about replacing, it's about empowering the best of the best. And Chevas, you're the best of the best.
I appreciate that. And I am glad to be a part of this. And I look forward to continually growing with it.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.